everybody, we have a super cool video for you today. I have a guest here, Travis Nielsen with devtips, and we're going to be talking about how to get started in web development from the perspective of somebody who's rocking it in the industry. Travis has a great YouTube channel that you have to check out called devtips. It focuses on the whole world of web development. Travis, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and just tell us about your channel real fast.
Oh, great. Thanks. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your channel. I'm a big fan of LearnCode.academy. I've been watching it for a while, so thanks for that. devtips is something that I've been pouring my nights and weekends into lately, and it's a YouTube channel similar to yours. It may be a little bit more front-endy, less JavaScripty. So, you know, the first videos I made were like HTML5 basics, like talking about the history of HTML5. Where did it come from? Why do we need it? And going all the way up, now we're talking about a lot of like layout and CSS, and we talk about Sass a lot. But we also talk about a lot of like the human side of the industry, right? So I go to meetups and I interview people and I talk to them about, you know, what do they do to remain, you know, inspired, or you know, I went to a meetup at Yahoo the other day, and I talked to Dan Cederholm, who's the creator or the co-founder of Dribble, and we talked about like giving back to the community and why to do that and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So it covers like a wide spectrum of things. It's mostly just like whatever I feel interested in at the moment. Which is actually why we started talking. You know, I'm interested in what you were doing, and I wanted to share that with my audience. And now you've invited me to come on your channel, which is really cool.
Yeah. So just in case you point out a good thing, we're doing a two-part video, actually kind of covering two different sides of this. We've got a video where he's interviewing me on his channel, and I've got some really questions pointed for Travis that you're going to want to hear the answers to if you're starting off the web development process. And you're wanting to learn how to get into that world. We're really going to pick his brain here for this video. And so I guess you just want to get into it?
Yeah, let's just get started.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so I guess my first question would be, let's say I'm somebody that I'm either just now starting off or I've been learning web development because I've already I think this is the good industry for me. What's the first thing you're going to do? What's the first thing you're going to learn, and why?
Like technically, like what you should start learning, or like,
yeah, like let's say
or like how to start learning.
Ooh, good question. Let's go both. I mean, what would you start learning, and how would you start learning it?
Yeah. Okay. So content wise, or yeah, learning the content wise. I mean, I'm very, very front end when it comes to like the work that I do professionally and the stuff that I teach. So my inclination would be to learn HTML in and out, and learn CSS in and out, and learn how JavaScript can enhance these two components of a standard web page. I think like if you're going to learn the stuff that you teach, Will, is very, very cutting edge in terms of like tooling and workflow and stuff, and to even understand those things, like to even buy a ticket to the amusement park of Will's channel, you have to understand what HTML is and how CSS properties will affect those HTML elements. So my inclination would be to start there, to start at the very basics.
Well, yeah, and that's if you're kind of subscribing to this channel and you're learning that process, you're really going to benefit from watching the devtips channel. Just to make sure I say it, there's a reason we're doing this, because you'll love it. So say you're learning HTML, CSS. Is it better to stick to just HTML for a while and then go CSS? Is it better to learn them all at the same time? Does it depend on your personality?
That's a hard question for me to answer, because when I learned HTML, there was no CSS.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't have that experience. I mean, somebody coming into the industry right now is going to have a bigger book to read. And what I mean by that is they have a lot more to learn initially than I did. When I came to it, it was like just this weird thing that I was doing in my, my mom's computer, and I was learning what is a paragraph tag, and I had to figure that out. And that was kind of it, like I read a chapter in a book, and I kind of understood the whole thing. But like today, there's so, because like CSS is growing leaps and bounds every year, right?
Yeah.
Like if you learned CSS completely 2 years ago, and then closed your eyes for 2 years, and then looked at it again, it would be a different beast altogether right now.
Yeah. Now, do you see that as good or bad for a new person, or a mixed bag?
Well, I could see how it would be difficult. I mean, it's raising the bar for it's raising the entry level, right? What am I trying to say here?
Yeah, that barrier of entry is a little tougher than it
Barrier
was
of
8
entry,
years
that's
ago.
the word. It's raising the barrier to entry, right? So it's harder to get started, but I think that it's more exciting than it's ever been. So the payoff is going to be a lot greater. So when I first started, I made this these horrible things that are like a blight on the internet. And they were just so pathetic. And but it wasn't because I sucked, and it was because I sucked. Okay, it was because I sucked, but it was also because the internet sucked.
Yes,
You couldn't make awesome things back then, but now you can, right? The internet is awesome now, and it'll continue to scale and get even more and more awesome. But the point is that it's possible for somebody in their bedroom and to read a book or read a few blogs or watch a few videos on YouTube and learn some things that are incredible and that would make me drool when I was first starting, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is harder, but the payoff is greater.
Gotcha. So are there any resources out there where there's some guys that are giving tips on what this kind of like more intermediate advanced CSS looks like? I mean, because from the sound of things, I mean, just so you guys know, Travis is definitely like super awesome at CSS. I tend to specialize more in JavaScript. And so if I'm learning CSS, what resources are like these are the right ones to be looking at?
Okay, so CSS is very broad in what it can do and what it's for, but there are some very fundamental principles to understand, right? And I hope this is not too pluggy, but
I'll go for it.
I did make a video series. It's like I think it's 7 or 9 videos about CSS basics, and I'll give the link to you, Will, so you can put this in the show notes or the comment or the whatever below, the doodle below, and it's about like we're starting at the very beginning. What is CSS? How does it actually interact with HTML? And what is a block level element? What is an inline element? And talking about like these very basic concepts, and then building from there, going all the way up to how do you install Sass and use that.
Oh, I mean that's got to be great because even the videos that I cover on CSS, I'm focusing on, hey, let's go 0 to 60 like right now, so you can feel like you're doing something. But I do not cover the detail. That's very important to know.
Yeah, these were some of the first things I did, and I felt that I needed to like explain them in order to do awesome. Not that they're not awesome. I think the fundamentals are really exciting personally. But I felt like I needed to go over them in order to go into more like applicable skills in the job market today. But so they're very useful for people just starting out. Other resources that are not of my own, goodness, I mean the Mozilla. The MDN, right? The Mozilla Developer Network, or what is it called?
MDN.
MDN. I don't know what it stands for.
It's Mozilla Developer Network. I just don't know the address of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Mozilla, whatever, and find some stuff. And then I would also say Stack Overflow is a great place to just ask questions, and they have like a really searchable database of other people like you that have asked similar questions to you and what the answers have been. So I mean, this is stuff that even though I am considered a professional. I've been working in the industry for years. I'm still visiting these places. I go to MDN and Stack Overflow all the time.
Every day I'm on Stack Overflow, yeah.
Yes, yes. And there's also one website in particular that's like a blog that I would recommend to anybody, time over time, and I have recommended it on my channel, is CSS-Tricks.com. It was run by Chris Coyer, who's one of the co-founders of CodePen.io. And I've been following Chris for years. He's so good. He's so good at teaching. He's like so smart, and he talks about the things that I am very interested in, which is front-end development. And he's branched out quite a bit over the years. So even though his URL is CSS-Tricks, he talks about JavaScript, HTML. He talks about tooling. He talks about serving stuff. He talks a lot about WordPress. If you guys are interested in that, he talks about like all these types of things. And then if you go to Chris's products, CodePen.io, that's a great place to just see examples of things and see how, like, if you want to see what the internet is thinking about itself, that's where you should go. You should go to CodePen to see what the internet thinks about itself in terms of new tricks it can do and fancy new clothes that it can wear, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
That's and then awesome. There's GitHub. So always look at GitHub because there you are.
I got a trick question for you. It's something people ask me a lot, and I don't really know that I know how to answer, but you might. Is they say, how long will it take me, let's say 2 hours a day, every night of the week, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day to learn this stuff to where I could get my first job? Is there any kind of benchmark? Have you seen people make that journey? And do you have any kind of guess? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
I'm not super sure.
Man, I you know what? I'm kind of, it's hard for me to like sit. I feel like I'm giving you bad questions or giving you bad answers. Like you asked, should you learn it all at once? And I have a bad answer because I came into it at a different time than it is right now, right? So in a similar way, like I'm a professional designer. I'm a product designer. I'm not even an engineer. And I learned how to develop stuff because I wanted my designs to live. And so my first clients and the first people who paid me to code, I'd been coding a long time, making and publishing long before they were even paying me to do it. And now I design professionally and I code professionally. I do both at my current job. But your question is, how long would it take somebody if they studied 2 hours a night every night and until they're ready to get their first job? I think that's the wrong question. I think it's not about how long will it take me. I think it's about how willing am I to be uncomfortable, right? If you're
good question. That's it. That really is it.
Yeah, I think, and I know this just from speaking with you for a while, Will, that you like to dive in head first and to be uncomfortable. And that's when I'm speaking for you, but this is what I gather, that's kind of like how you learn and thrive.
You learn to love it. That's kind of the joy of web development.
Yes, and I can unequivocally say every job, every employment that I've had, and I've been sitting in the meetings, I'm looking around the tables, and I think, what am I doing here? This is across the board, right? I didn't go to school. I taught myself, and I sit at the table with people with master's degrees, double masters, that have gone to Stanford, and like people that are like seriously legit doctors. I've worked with like people with double PhDs in human computer interactions and science, and they do all these really interesting stuff. I have no idea what they're doing, and they're asking me questions about design or simple CSS stuff that they leaped right over, right? So it's not about when are you ready, technically. It's about when are you ready emotionally to be afraid and to be uncomfortable and or when are you ready to do it?
That's all.
That's really all it is.
That's it, man. Great answer to that question. Because when the pressure's on, you got to know that at the end of the day, if you don't know what to do, you're going to go find out what to do. You're going to ask a question on Stack Overflow, Google
Yes.
for 2 hours. You're going to find the answer if you don't have it. And that's, yeah.
Yes. If you ask me a question that you can easily Google, I'll be upset with you. And that's just like
Why
the
are you in
nature.
web development?
That's just the nature of, like, I mean, if you ask that in the comments on my channel, I'm actually presenting myself as a learning source, so that's perfectly fine. But professionally, if you come over to my desk and ask me something that you can easily find out, I won't say it to your face, but I'll think a little less of you. That's for sure.
Because you Google for a living as a developer. I mean, that's just what you do.
You do, yes. Google is your very best friend as a developer, and stress that you don't know the answer when somebody asks you is also your best friend. So, and there are a few ways though to get ready for that. Okay, I would surround myself with people who support you. Right. For me, it was my family, my wife. She believed in me at a time when I didn't believe in myself, and there was a moment in my life when I transitioned from I used to be a salesman. I sold electronic. I sold televisions, right, on a sales floor. You'd go into a place and I would be like, hey, let me tell you about some stuff. And I would go home and design, and I would love design and read about design and think about design all day, but I would make money by doing something I didn't love at all. And it was because I was afraid and I didn't believe in myself. And meanwhile, my wife is always saying, hey, take your time and be comfortable, but I believe in you. And I think that like that, having somebody there to support me while I did really scary things was pretty instrumental in making that transition. Another thing is not just surrounding yourself with people who support you emotionally, but who will support you technically and support you in your skills, right? So I'm talking about a mentor.
Yeah.
So finding a mentor is really important to have somebody who is generally interested in your well-being personally, and that you can talk to and express, your frustrations or your excitements with professionally. And having this person to guide you along the way is really important. I never had that kind of one existential person, but through like making deep relationships with people that I've worked with or people that I've known, that's kind of come about in a roundabout way. And now leading to the third one that I would recommend in order to learn and grow in this industry is to, this is going to sound really pretentious and dumb, but I would pack your bags and move. I would go to somewhere that respects this industry.
No, that's huge. That actually really is huge.
Now for me, that was moving to Oakland, California, and then across the bay into San Francisco. That was when things went from 0 to 90, and it was incredible. As soon as I could put San Francisco, this is the weirdest thing, and it's probably, I'm sorry to say this, but this is also true. As soon as I put San Francisco on my resume, job offers every day. Like it's not even fair to people who are not here. It's really not. And this is a sad truth if you don't feel comfortable with picking up your belongings and moving, or if you're stuck some place that. But this San Francisco is not the only place, of course, right? There are other places that respect what we do.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say New York, Atlanta, Boston, Houston, Orlando. Strangely, Orlando.
Yeah, Chicago, Austin, Texas. They're and worldwide too, right? There's a lot of places. Brazil is really popping off right now. Mexico is pretty big. Singapore, huge. Philippines, Australia, Germany is really big in tech.
Netherlands,
there's a lot of
huge.
I'm sorry. What's that?
Netherlands, huge.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot of places where they're coming into this understanding that the things that we do are valid and worthwhile and valuable.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can surround yourself in a culture that values what you do and what you're trying to do, you're not only going to learn and grow faster, but you're going to receive remuneration. You're going to be paid well to do what you do, and it's going to increase your confidence, it's going to increase your desire to learn and grow, and you're going to get better projects to work on that are more visible, and that's going to increase your status in the community. So
great advice.
A lot of stuff.
Great advice. That's huge. Yeah, so before I let you go on this, before we say goodbye to Travis till whenever, any last words of advice towards people that are starting on this journey, really want to go for it?
Yeah. Okay, yes, I do. Now, you may have heard some version of this advice before, but it's so important to understand. And so I'll just reiterate it. You're not going to be as good as you want to be until you get all of the crap out. And what I mean by that is that you have to make and make and make and make until the thing that you finally make is good. You're going to make so much junk that it's going to just be ugly and not work right and be horrible that nobody wants. And you're going to make that for a very long time until you finally make something good.
So don't be afraid to make crap then.
Don't get discouraged. Right. Let's say you have an exact amount of crap that you have to wade through before you get to the good stuff. And everybody has the same amount of crap that they have to get through. If you work 2 hours a night, every night, you're going to get through it pretty fast. That's just truth. If you work 3 hours a night, you're going to get through it faster. Right? And that's really the kind of the recommendation that I have. Work fast and work hard, and just like realize when you're new and you're learning that the stuff that you make is worthless. It's worthless to other people, but it's not to you. It's going to be the stepping stones to making great things.
That's good.
And then when you finally start making those great things, all of a sudden, people are going to really want you and really want you to make great things for them, and they're going to pay you a lot of money to do it, which is nice. But the main point is that you'll be finally making those things that you wanted to make the whole time, because right now you can see it. You have this vision of what you want to be and what you want to do and you know who you want to be like, but you can't do it because you suck. You work so hard and then you don't suck. It's just time. It's 10,000 hours. That's just it.
That's awesome. Man, great advice, great input. I've actually learned several really cool things by listening to you.
Thanks.
So, man, Travis, thanks a ton for joining us today. And
man, it's been so much fun.
His channel, would they just type in devtips in search on YouTube?
Yeah, if you search devtips, it'll work. I'll try to give you a link as well, so you can put it in your description of your video.
Awesome.
Yeah, or click my face.
Awesome. What?
Or click on my face.
Or click on the face. We'll put an annotation on the face. So awesome. Thanks so much, Travis. Have a great day, and we'll catch you all around on the internets.
All right, take care.
That's it.